I'm just conscious of time here. It's 10 to 12 and we'll wrap up at midday. Was there any other, well, I'll just share one thing that's on my mind, and then we'll move on to thinking about solutions, is that some of the prerequisite skills that our students may be missing, and things that come to mind for me are how to work on a split screen. If all of our materials are sent digitally and our kids are needing to read from one document and then respond in a Word document or something, do they know that they can create a split screen to make that task easier, rather than minimizing and maximizing the page the whole time? Some of the subjects that require research, have our kids been taught how to do good research online? So it's, we may well in history have an idea about what we want our students to do, but are there some prerequisite skills that they still need to be taught? And I think that would apply also for our students, maybe with greater needs with their communication and behaviour. What are some of their prerequisite skills that we might need to be prioritising, as well as the academic stuff? Tanya, I'm just looking here, your comment. Okay, so with the SLOs and classrooms. All right, so as we think about what we want to do from here on in, people have been sharing some links in the chat here. Janice has shared some links to some of the things that we've talked about. What do people feel, what do you need moving forward? What would be helpful for you if we've started this community? I mean, we're really exploring our way here with Zoom just to see who was interested to come and chat with us. Janice and I talked this morning about the possibility of using Zoom to have breakout rooms, so that you could, if you had a common interest based on your subject or the needs of the students you work on, whether that would be a helpful way when we get together that we can break out. I'm just looking here, create how-to instructions for things like screen sharing. Yep. Okay, so
would there be interest, it seemed like there was a lot of interest in the conversation around, thinking about a broader process around more explicit learning intentions and developing those activities that build in student choice and flexibility and are framed around those diverse needs of families in their homes. Would there be interest in perhaps a webinar around that process that takes you through sort of a step-by-step almost procedure or a template that you can work through, allowing kids to have that choice and flexibility?
Yeah, that would be good. Yep.
I think all schools are at that point, Janice. They've thrown in the deep end and did the best they can, and and then they go, shit, this doesn't quite work the way we'd like online. And now it's time to reflect and go, okay, how can we hone this a little bit more and cater for the diversity of needs in that online, whether we like it or not. It's e-learning. It's, we label it remote learning, but at the end of the day, a lot of it's becoming e-learning, and the same principles around literacy still apply, same principles around a variety of ways to demonstrate the learning outcomes, all those, but what does it look like in an online environment? And I think every teacher needs to be explicitly taught how to do it personally. And I think if you created something that didn't necessarily need to be live, I think you could have a pretty good selling model here that a lot of schools on the school development day would appreciate something like that.
Yeah, and I just want to pick up a comment Ellie's made here about a concern for the well-being of teachers as well, supporting and maintaining work-life balance. I wonder if that would actually complement, Ellie, this, if there's an opportunity for us to support teachers in some sort of model structure to be very clear with learning intentions, as Janice was talking about, that it really helps us to strip things down to the essentials so that we're not always creating volume. I wonder if that would in part help teachers with well-being too.
Yeah, and I know certainly in PD Health PE, Sarah, the professional associations are working together to try and create some, I guess, template lessons and template learning sequences for teachers to take it, because we're all trying to reinvent the same wheel and it's ridiculous. So trying to come up with, you know, particularly we're focusing on primary schools to start with, but, you know, how can we ease the burden for primary school teachers, knowing that there's some primary schools who have just said, you know, PD Health PE, we're not even going to worry about that. We're going to take that off the list because we're just going to worry about maths, English, science. So what would be good is to even create some, we've used virtual design labs in the past where we've just brought a group of teachers together to collaborate on a single unit of work that they might all be working on individually. We'll just all come to the one space and we can create it together to save some time and share everybody's good ideas. So maybe that's something that we can advertise as well. If people are working in a particular subject area and want some support around, you know, how can we create some learning sequences that are engaging for kids that meet diverse needs as well, and then have those published on the website that people can access easily as well.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I pick up on this analogy that, Ellie, you've put here, that teachers are trying to get in front of the wave without being drowned by it. There is every day, I mean, I have to switch off the social media because we're being bombarded with try this idea, try that idea. And it's, yeah, we just need to keep everybody afloat on this one. And if there's a way that we can, I think as Janice is suggesting, do it collectively and slow down the pace. Jen, you've made a comment here about, I see this as being the concern still around compliance, the following scope and sequences. You know, what are the expectations from our curriculum authorities? You know, I think, yeah, that's something for us to explore as well. You know, students first, what's the learning that's happening at home? How do we document it in this new situation that we're in that meets compliance? Yeah.
And I think I still think there is that need to maintain the sequence of learning that you've got planned. I guess it's diving back into your scope and sequences and going, all right, well, what's the key learning for this particular unit or this sequence of learning that's going to happen into term 2, and how are kids best going to be able to access that learning? What activities are going to make the most sense in getting them through that? And for some subjects, it's going to be much easier. Like, I know PD Health PE, there is so much potential for home-based stuff that we can do that is relevant for all kids, that's accessible without them needing technology and those sorts of things. But for other subjects, I imagine it's possibly not that easy. I know a lot of maths teachers are struggling to find ways of teaching kids if they haven't got that teaching, face-to-face teaching space where they can instruct them on the processes, because maths isn't something that people can look at a problem and go, yes, I see what the logic is here. So yeah, I think it is different for different subject areas, but I think there's probably thinking processes that we can use that are transferable across subject areas, that can still maintain the integrity of the learning, but ease that pressure on teachers and on families and kids, at least for the next term anyway. And yeah, I agree, Pid, with your comment there around that the practical subjects are some of the hardest ones to actually do the really quality learning in. So, you know, your drama, your music, PD Health PE, art, those sorts of things can be very difficult to replicate in a home-based setting as well. So we might need a brains trust around that in Dungog, Pid, over some virtual wines, I reckon. See what ideas we can come up with.
Thanks, Fiona. Yeah. Look, I think as a way forward from here, there's people have talked about they want some ideas around student engagement activities, and then also that structuring maybe across KLAs, the scope and sequence as well. So maybe if Janice and I will have some time, we'll sort of summarize the key points that have come out of today's chat, stay in contact with you, and pop up some options of topics that we could discuss again as a group, and then maybe split into some breakout rooms as well, and work on developing some resources together. Yep, the puppy is very cute.
There's extra charges for canines to attend, Elle.
That's the de-stress.
Yes.
So if there are any other questions or things that you'd like us to follow up from today's chat, please just pop that in the comments section, or send Janice and I an email. And any feedback about if this was helpful to you, or what would make it more helpful to you moving forward. This is something that we'd like to continue to do, is just stay connected with everybody out there and support each other as we move forward in this space. So thank you everyone for your time today. Thanks, Veronica. We'll have to, thanks, Jen.